I've never timed my setup, which is sort of a useful metric to have, although I do want to change my setup. But anyway, I haven't figured out how to make this go horizontal or landscape mode, because like when I turn it, nothing happens. So I'm just gonna time it, put it on the table. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but then I'll bring it up at the end and we'll see how long this takes. All right. If you want to get good at something, or at least better at something, you need to practice. And that sort of presents a problem when it comes to tabling and doing conventions and things like that, because conventions cost money. There's usually a table fee. You got to pay for gas. If it's a multiple day show, you usually have to pay for lodging, unless you're, you know, a guest, which is always cool. Doesn't happen often anymore. But yeah, you got to pay money to make money, and it can be frustrating. So when you're starting out, you can't really do a whole lot of conventions, which means you don't get a lot of practice in to do your setup, to have your table presence ready, how you interact with potential customers, that sort of thing. Those things, that stuff is tough to figure out if you're sort of introverted in general. And if you don't have a lot of time, if you don't have a lot of opportunities to do that, it's even more frustrating. How do I want to do that? Okay, so I don't think I'm gonna put the merch in the stands, because you don't need to see that. I just need to, whatever. So how do you get your reps in? Table setup, you can practice that at home in your living room, but this isn't really too helpful in the long run, because maybe the table you have isn't going to be quite this size, and you know, when you get there the day of, there's all of these other considerations that you can't plan for. It's good to have a general idea of how long it takes for you to set up your thingy, but you know, a plan is only as good as the paper it's written on. So how do you really get your reps in? How do you practice your table presence? How do you practice in front of actual potential customers? That sort of thing. I think it's time for you to enter the local art market. Where do you find local art markets? That's a little bit more tough. I didn't really think of this idea until I was at the climbing gym one day, and I saw a bunch of people set up for a craft show, which isn't something that usually happens at a climbing gym, at least something I didn't expect to happen at the local climbing gym. So I was very intrigued. I went up to one of the vendors and I asked them, like, how did you get involved with this? And also, is this a thing that happens all the time? And it turns out Movement in Columbia, Maryland, for the first Friday of every month, they have like a member craft art fair, art show event sort of thing. And you can vend there. The beginning of the year, this year, 2026, I signed up to be a vendor. We just had the first Friday, because I'm recording this in January, so we just had that at the beginning of this month. And it was pretty cool. It's not like high volume sales per se, but it's an opportunity to get out in public, try some new things, try some different products, see what catches people's eyes. I don't think I have enough room here. I think I actually need the whole table, but I don't want to knock stuff over. It was a local show. I didn't have to worry about lodging because it's a one-day thing. Limited hours from like, what was it? 5 to 8. So not a long soak time, but enough to sit, get some stuff out, get my work in front of some new people. Because sometimes if you go to the same comic conventions over and over again, you know, people, they might get tired of you. This is definitely not a full-size table. I think I would need to knock this stuff over, but I don't know, whatever. You get the idea. So it got me thinking, maybe there are other places like a gym that you go to often that would host similar events. Like the community center down the street, they have holiday craft markets. They have one in the winter for the Christmas season, and I think they have one when school gets back, like a back to school something. Anyway, if you have a local community center, you can check with them to see if they have any art fairs coming up. I haven't really done the art market circuit yet, so I don't know what the table prices are in compared to like the big conventions. But if they're local to you, you're cutting out a bunch of different costs like housing and lodging and travel to, you know, your local community center. Probably isn't as much as booking a flight, that sort of thing. If there's an indie coffee shop that you like to go to, maybe they have art markets or craft fairs. Maybe you could talk to them about starting one if there isn't something like that in your area. A while back, a friend of mine started Be More Into Comics. She knew a bar owner in Baltimore and talked to him about setting up like a local comic art fair kind of thing. And it was really cool. They let us take over the bar midday when nobody would regularly be going to drink and stuff, and let us set up. There was a stage area so we could do like presentations or hold panel discussions, things like that. And it was great. Be More Into Comics. I don't think any of us made a whole ton of money, but it was an opportunity to get our work out in front of new people and to practice our table setup, our table manners, how we interact with potential customers coming in and that sort of thing. And it was low cost. What other places do normal people go to? Do malls still exist? Sometimes malls might do events for like New Year's or, New Year's or holidays or any kind of thing. Maybe you can get in touch with them to ask if there are any like art markets that they host. There are a lot of local organizations that might host craft fairs. I think in Baltimore, they have something called like the Charm City Craft Mafia. They host a whole bunch of shows throughout the year. If there are arts organizations in your area, they might have events that you can vend at. And also, if there's a local arts organization in your area, it's a good way to meet fellow creators, fellow artists, other people who do this stuff. Local food hall, maybe? Do you guys have local food halls? Not a food court in a mall, but like a food hall. There are a lot of Asian food halls around me. I don't know if there are other ethnic food halls that have popped up around the country, but maybe you could talk to them about setting up like an art fair to coincide with some sort of holiday, or maybe just in their off hours just to try it out, that sort of thing. Libraries definitely do events these days, although that can be sort of a double-edged sword. I'm doing a library convention in March, and it's very strange. We're allowed to set up a table, but we're not allowed to sell anything. So I'm kind of looking at that event as sort of a chance to meet local artists and see who else is in the community, because I don't go out that much. Like, I go to the climbing gym and I stay home. Bars. I did mention bars before, but there's been a few things that I've done at bars and breweries. One of the local breweries hosted a few art fairs, and a whole bunch of us got to go and hang out in the brewery and just vend our stuff. It was low cost and it was cool. And if you're into beer, you get to drink. I don't drink, so that's not that great for me, but it's still fun to be out and about in different places that you might not think of. Where else do people hang out? Comic shop, duh. If you have a local comic shop, hopefully you have one that is open to hosting events or collaborating with local artists. Everybody gets their start somewhere. And if you're a local creator, I would hope that the comic shop would want to be part of your journey. Phantom Comics in DC, they love local creators. They love featuring local creators. So if you're in the DMV area, I know I'm very like Maryland, DC centric, but if you're in the DC area, check out Phantom Comics if you're an up and coming artist, if you've got stuff that you want to try out, talk to them. They host a whole bunch of events throughout the year. Highly recommend Phantom Comics. How long did that take? 15 minutes? This took, whoop, 15 minutes for the basic setup, and then, you know, putting in all your crap. I think I need more height if I want to start showing off prints. Display them up here. The local comic shop, that's a good place to go. The other thing to do is if you follow a creator that's near you or close to you, you can stalk them and see what kind of events they're doing, like what markets they're hitting up, so that you have a list of places that you might want to check out. And then reach out to them, ask if they have room for an upcoming table, or if they can put you on their mailing list for the next time they set up a thing. Like there's zine fests, there's book fests, all sorts of local fests that you can go to get your reps in before you bite the bullet and decide, I'm going to spend way more money for travel, for lodging, to get my shit to a bigger convention. Start small, start local. There are opportunities out there. I know we're pretty fortunate in this area because of all the larger conventions, like MagFest is happening this weekend down the street. There's Otakon, there's Katsucon. But it turns out there are also a lot of local events that I've never heard about because I never thought to seek them out. So I'm sure that there's stuff near you. And if you want to get better at this aspect of the artist's career, you got to get your reps in. You got to get the practice. You got to get in front of people because you have to figure out what works for you. There's a lot of advice on YouTube that's great, but it might not be great for you. You just got to get out there. And the benefit of going to local shows is you get to meet local creators, people that might be doing similar work to you. You might end up making friends and collaborators and all that kind of good stuff. I don't want to call it networking because networking puts too much pressure. That word is kind of loaded, but making connections, making friends on the circuit, that's how you survive. That's how you maintain your sanity because you'll have someone else to talk to about this stuff. Go local, start small, start small. Or if you've been out of the game for a while like me, start local. So you can get those reps in, figure out what's working, and build up that confidence so that next time you go to a venue or an event and something's thrown at you that was unexpected, you can pivot, you can deal with it, you can handle it, and you can just do the thing and get your shit out there. I think that's it. I think that's the idea I wanted to get across. One recommendation I do have for everyone's table setup is to get some height in your display. It makes it easier for people walking to kind of eyeball things instead of having to like search around your table. So anything you can do to get stuff into people's faces at eye level is great. Like if you go to any retail shop or the grocery store, all the stuff that you're usually looking for is usually at this height. It works in retail, it'll work at these kind of events. So get your shit higher up. All right. Now I gotta disassemble all this stuff and put it away. Until next time.